Welcome back, everybody, to Hoops with Noops. It's November 6th, and I am, of course, Noops Christensen or Alex Christensen, depending on which you prefer. It doesn't really bother me. Brought to you by FTN Bets. I'm here to you today to talk about all the games that I like in the NBA today, give you out some picks and previews. Again, of course, check out ftnbets.com. Lots of great tools there, odds boards, models, same game parlay tools, a ton of great information there. You can see on the bottom here, actually, as I turn it on right now, there is a code that you can use to get a little bit of a discount there. Again, a lot of great stuff there, so be sure to check it out. And again, big NBA slate tonight. We had a good weekend of basketball. The Memphis Grizzlies finally won a basketball game. The Celtics juggernaut continues, and Victor Wembanyama just looks crazier and crazier every single game. 5 blocks at a few places they were posting during the offseason, something like, yes or no, will Wembanyama block 5 shots in a game during his rookie season? We got here before, the 5-6 game mark for him. So pretty incredible. We've got a big slate of games tonight. 24 teams playing in 12 games. As always, the NBA loads up the Monday night before a voting Tuesday. I know it's not a presidential election this year, but be sure to get out and vote in your local, municipal, and state elections, because that's really where your vote has the most impact. And if you remember, folks, the mayor from Jaws is still the mayor in Jaws 2. Make sure that doesn't happen in your town. So get out and vote tomorrow. There'll be no NBA basketball, so you don't have that as an excuse. But again, the good news is we've got 12 games tonight. I know there's Monday Night Football, and that can be a lot of fun, but I'm a basketball guy, and I definitely will be watching these games. I've got 4 that I want to cover with you here. Again, you can actually read a version of Hoops with Noops if you'd like on FTN Bets, but let's jump into it here tonight. We'll start with the first game. The Washington Wizards visit the Philadelphia 76ers. A pretty straightforward handicap here. The Sixers are one of the better teams in the NBA. They have been all season. The Wizards were supposed to be bad, and they are bad. The Sixers are better at pretty much every position here. You look up and down the schedule. There's no rest difficulty, no look-ahead spots. The injury report is fairly clean tonight. Now, historically, sometimes this has been a spot where Joel Embiid, may miss some time, and there's a chance maybe they limit his minutes or something like that. But outside of that, there really is not a lot to figure out here in terms of the full game. Again, Sixers 11 and a half point favorites, depending on where you look. The total at 227 there. It should be pretty close to that number, and it really comes down to figuring out whether this game goes kind of like the Portland game last week, where Philadelphia got out to a big lead and held on to it the whole way through, closed strong. Or did they take this team a little bit lightly, come out, it's a little bit slow, closer early on, in the fourth quarter, again, things are tough. This Philadelphia team has struggled to close in the fourth quarter, so the back door really is going to be open regardless. Happy to let this one go, although I do think the Sixers really win here in a big way. If you are planning on betting the Sixers spread, play some alts, play this thing out to like minus 14.5, something like that, because if they do cover, it's going to be in a big way. Again, all the matchups look really nice for Philadelphia here from a basketball perspective. There really isn't anybody that's going to slow down Joel Embiid, especially if Daniel Gafford is missing for Washington. And the other big advantage Philadelphia has, which is surprising, the bench is much deeper this year in Washington, even though they're a bad team. Usually with bad teams, you see sort of uniformity throughout their top 8 to 10 guys, meaning, the bench is just as good as the starters for the most part. But even with such a poor starting lineup, their bench really is poor. It's going to be tough for them tonight against this Sixers team. Again, pretty close here. I show some value on the Sixers, but what I do like here, the bet I did place, someone who's having as good of a start to the year as just about anybody, Tyrese Maxey, now the favorite to win Most Improved Player award. He's plus 200 now. That's nuts this early in the season, but it's justified. We know officially now that Harden is out of town, although the Sixers have some assets and maybe you could make a trade down the line for another guard. Maxey's going to be the lead in this Philadelphia offense. Yes, it's all going to revolve around Joel Embiid, but Maxey's the guy bringing the ball up the floor, providing the energy, and he's going to be a huge piece of what this team does when Embiid's off the floor. One of my favorite things I learned about the Sixers and have noticed this year, he plays the entire second quarter. That's 12 minutes of continuous basketball, and you can see he plays better and better as that goes on. He's young. He's in great shape. It doesn't necessarily tire him out, and it gives him big chunks of minutes against a team's backup unit. And we just talked about how bad the Wizards bench lineup is here. There's really nobody to slow him down on the bench and definitely not in the starting lineup. Tyus Jones will probably get that assignment tonight. Best of luck to him. Anytime Jordan Poole is across from Maxey, I expect him to take him to the basket or get a shot that he really wants here. So the Maxey point total to me is a little too low. And, looking around, I thought about playing the base. It's 22.5 minus 125. I think they're seeing some 23.5s pop up here. I'd rather just play the 25 plus. If this goes well for Maxey, he's going to have a huge night tonight. He really should. Again, no reason for the Sixers to try to rest him ahead of any bad spots or anything like that. If Embiid does get a little bit of rest, it's even more opportunity for Maxey. I expect him really to thrive tonight. So 25 or more points is plus 150. We'll put 3/4 of a unit on there, and then 30 plus points is plus 450. You can play 35 plus if you want. I am a little concerned that it'll blow out. Maybe his minutes are limited and doesn't get quite the chance to get to 35 or 40 there. So take 3/4 of a unit there on 25 plus, and then 1/4 of a unit on the alt there at 30 plus. Again, make sure, you stick to one unit here. I know a lot of times when people like to ladder these things, they get a little out of control, and all of a sudden you have more than one unit based on one bet. So make sure you chop it up a little bit, but I like both of these quite a bit. Should be a big night for Maxey and the Sixers against a Wizards team that has really struggled as everyone expected. The next game up, a really marquee matchup here. The Los Angeles Lakers go to Miami to play the Heat. The Heat small favorites, -1, the total 222.5. And, as someone that lost last night with the Golden State Warriors against the Cleveland Cavaliers, it's could be tough to back a Western Conference team in an Eastern time zone again here. But, I look at this game, I look at this matchup up and down again. No real problems in the schedule here. Everybody is rested. There's no real look-ahead spots here. This is a marquee matchup. Both of these teams think very highly of themselves, and I expect them to come in with the attitude that this is a potential NBA Finals matchup. This is a chance for them to play some great basketball and really attack a team that they may see later on in the year in June and July if they can make the NBA Finals. The Lakers have been playing really solid basketball. It's been a little clunky. The bench has been short with some injury problems, but overall, LeBron is playing great somehow in his 21st year. It's truly staggering. Anthony Davis, healthy, playing really good basketball here. Austin Rivers has struggled, but plenty of opportunity for him to bounce back. And Miami has not been good. They have only 2 wins this season, both of them close wins against teams that really aren't great. They've struggled against all the good teams they've played tonight. Jimmy Butler is going to play. He's not 100%. He's got a couple nagging things there now. We know what Jimmy Butler, Eric Spoelstra, and Bam Adebayo can do in big games when they have the time, but it's November. It is not the postseason here. They're not going to get a couple cracks this week at the Lakers. It's just this spot here tonight. I don't have the Lakers favored. Just a 2-point favorite here, but that's a 3-point edge over what we're seeing in the market here. So I really like the spot for Los Angeles. Give me the Lakers, the money line here again, plus 100. I've got them 2-point favorites here. I would play them, anything -105 or better. Still some plus money numbers out there. And again, love this matchup. I know how much LeBron cares about playing well in Miami, how much these teams enjoy playing against each other. I see no reason for the Lakers to try to rest anybody or play less than their best basketball. And the Heat, it just doesn't look right. They've struggled to reintegrate Tyler Hero and just deal with the fact that now that they have a couple pieces in their starting lineup that struggle on defense. Miami really established themselves and controlled games in the defensive end of the court, allowing them opportunities to win with really a limited offensive attack. But with Hero on the floor, with Kevin Love on the floor, with an aging Kyle Lowry now, all big parts of that starting lineup, this team has really been bad to start the season, and I see no reason for that to bounce back tonight. This is a tough matchup for them up and down the starting lineup. So I like the Lakers. Give me LA tonight, and it makes me sick as a Sixers fan to say that, but let's go Lakers. We'll cheer for the purple and the gold tonight. One next game up here, and this is a game actually we bet on, I believe this was Saturday, possibly Friday. I'll go back and double check again. I can't remember if I wrote about this or not, if it was just a weekend pick, but the Sacramento Kings were 2.5-point favorites the other night, lose outright to the Houston Rockets in one of the worst games the Kings have played all season. They are without De'Aaron Fox, which is tough. He is an all-star guard. He is incredible. He really drives the engine that is the Sacramento Kings. But without him last season, they managed to be efficient. They managed to keep pace up. Now, the other night was a big exception to this. They shot very poorly, less than 40% from the field, less than 30% from three. The game was slow. It was clunky. The starting lineup for the Sacramento Kings scored 20 points less than they average. It was just really a mess here. And the Houston Rockets played a solid game. A couple guys, Jabari Smith and Dylan Brooks had nice games, but Jalen Green was off. Fred VanVleet was off. It was nothing really for me to look at that game and say, okay, betting market, we need to change this spread, a point and a half. There was some money on the Rockets here that just makes no sense to me. And, if I like Sacramento -2.5, I better like a -1.5. And I really do. I think this is a nice spot. I want the money line here at -120. There's a couple different ways to bet this game. If you can get the money line here at -125 or better, I would prefer that. If that is not an option, look for -1.5 or -2 at -110 or better on Sacramento. Again, a team that I just think up and down is better than this Houston Rockets squad. Nothing on the schedule to distract either team. They did play the other night, but had time to rest. Everyone should be fresh at this point. I expect a much better game from Domantas Sabonis and just the roster overall. I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons to expect this team to regress. Nothing telling me that the Houston Rockets are really any better. Again, just from a matchup perspective, Sabonis really struggled in that first game. Not quite sure why. Again, maybe adjusting to taking over a little bit more of the playmaking load now that De'Aaron Fox is gone. So a tough game for them the other night, but I'm going to come back again and bet them here. It's a nice spot for them. That they're much better than this team. So we'll see what Houston can do. And maybe Sacramento is another down night, but I like the Kings again, and we'll see how this goes going forward. But that's the fun and the tough part about these 2-game series. It's hard to figure out whether what you just saw is what to expect again, or we should look for something different here. But it's a nice spot for the Sacramento Kings tonight. Again, missing just De'Aaron Fox. I expect a much better offensive output for them. It should be a great game, and it's one I'll definitely be watching again just to see how things look for a Kings team that hasn't been as fantastic the last couple games. But like Sacramento here, we'll bet them. Last game up here, and one of the best things about betting on sports, and one of the few things that people don't actually know, is you don't have to watch everything that you bet on. And there is no better example of this phenomenon than this Utah Jazz Chicago Bulls game. This is going to be really ugly, but there's a nice angle, and we'll get there in a second. The Bulls are 3.5-point favorites. The total sits at 223. Both of these teams are really just stuck in the middle in this sort of vortex of mediocrity, where you've got a Chicago Bulls team that it's the 4th season with this same roster, and only once in the last 3 did they finish with a winning record here. There seems to be no star power here. LaVine has really hit the ceiling in terms of his potential. We just really haven't seen him be able to raise his level, and it's a team that plays not a great style of basketball. They have the 4th highest rate of 2-point shots as a percentage of their total shots, which means they're really just focused on trying to shoot a lot of mid-range because they don't get to the basket very much. So it's a lot of 2-point shots. They are the 2nd or 3rd slowest team by pace so far this season here. It's just a really clunky basketball team. And, sort of their doppelganger, the Utah Jazz, started to tear down last year, but seems to be happy with what looks to me to be a solid but unspectacular roster with some good players in Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler, but not stars. You're not talking about guys that are really going to lead a team to a championship here, and they've yet to really make any moves. So, they do play a little better brand of basketball. It's faster. They shoot more threes, but they don't shoot them efficiently. So it's just 2 really messy teams. It's going to be an ugly basketball game. It is on late tonight. If you're on the East Coast here, this has, I believe, a 9 o'clock start, maybe 8:30 start time, something like that. Don't watch this game. Go to bed. You don't need to see any of it, but we are going to bet the under because for all the reasons that I just talked about, I'm expecting a slow, ugly basketball game. And, maybe Zach LaVine goes nuts. Maybe Jordan Clarkson goes nuts. I mean, those are guys that can score 40, 50 points on any particular night, but even then, are they scoring 40 and 50 points for a team that scores 120? They could do that, and we could still go under this total here. It's going to be a really messy game. So here's the deal. You bet this, you go to sleep, you get up in the morning, and you either have more money or you avoided watching some ridiculous game where something stupid happened and everything was fine. It's just this game's going to be a mess. Again, the Bulls shoot a lot of 2s, not nearly as many 3s as they should. You look at this Utah team, they do not shoot the ball efficiently, especially on the road. Everything points to this being a really ugly game. So under 223 looks really good. Honestly, any number 222 or higher is just fine with me. It should just be an absolute mess tonight. So, Don't watch something else. Spend some time with your family. Go to bed early, but definitely going to bet the under here, and what should just be a mess of a basketball game. So that's all 4 games we have. Let's run through the bets again quickly here. We'll start in the Wizards Sixers game. I like Tyrese Maxey to score a lot of points. Give me 25 plus and 30 plus. Again, take a unit and split it up there as opposed to making full plays on both of those bets. The Los Angeles Lakers money line, anything minus 105 or better. There's still plus money out there. Like this spot for the Lakers against the Miami Heat tonight. The Sacramento Kings, again, bet them the other night. Like them again in the same spot against the Houston Rockets. The money line, anything minus 125 or better on the money line looks good. If you don't have that, minus 1.5 or -2 on the spread at minus 110 or better. All really fine bets. And again, make sure you get into the FTN Discord. We gave this play out earlier this morning, so you got to be in there. You can get these things as quickly as possible and make sure you get the best of the number, which over the long season makes a big, big difference. And the fourth and final bet that we talked about, again, don't watch it, just bet it. Jazz Bulls under 223 should be really good. Also a co-play with Frank Brank. It's always a good thing when Frank, the data genius at FTN, is in on a play with us. So really like this. Again, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you'd like to read, you can check the written version of this piece out on FTN Bets. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel here, and drop a few comments down below. Let me know what I could be doing better. Is there any more information you would like to see? You can let me know maybe for the next broadcast, which will be on Friday. Are there any particular games you really want to hear about? Of course, you can always DM me on Twitter. I'm at _Noops. Again, let me know what we can be doing better. Always happy to help and try to make sure you guys are getting what you want here. Really appreciate you watching. Again, thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Best of luck to all of us. I'll be back on video on Friday, but in writing tomorrow. Have a great night.